upped our standards. So now, up yours. The Daily Mojo.
All right, without further ado, and to take us back to the course of righteousness, as it were, Dan Andros, welcome back to the program after an extended delay.
Look at that face. Welcome,
from,
Dan.
From Faithwire.com.
Glad
Remember,
to be back, guys.
Are you? And did you ever see the Sam Kinison bit about if Jesus was married and his wife, as he's going out at night, his wife says, "You're going to hang out with those losers again, aren't you?" And it was just, it was such a, he was going to be a priest or a pastor. He went to theology school.
Okay.
And then for whatever reason, he found his calling in humor. So many things. And did you have good time off, first of all? Spend some time with the family? Good quality time?
I did. I was down in your neck of the woods. I was in Texas, too, for a couple days last
you were?
week. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. You should have said something.
It was a quick jaunt down there, back. So
that's all right. I never leave the motel anyway, so it's just as well. Well, we're glad you're back because we missed you.
I miss you as well. And I did see, did you guys see Sound of Freedom?
No, but I want to go
see it yet.
Yeah, I want to go see it.
Beth Enoch has seen it, and she said it was great. And I can't figure out why the people, you've heard the Rolling Stone controversy about him.
Yes.
I don't understand. Go ahead.
I understand it. Well, I mean, look, Hollywood and the liberal elites in media, etc., are notorious for let's just say there's rumors going around about their proclivities and their sexual desires and the things that they try to that they're doing. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein,
right?
I mean, he had a little island with apparently a lot of young people. I'm just saying, if this movie came out and it was kind of damaging to that area that you were apparently interested in, of course you would say that. What a conspiracy theory that all this trafficking is. But isn't it? I can't think of another motivation, though, guys. Seriously, what other motivation would you have? Does anyone deny that children are trafficked? Like, I didn't know that trafficking denial was a thing.
I didn't either. That's the bizarre part to me, because I mean, you and I both know Jason and Tim Ballard, and I mean, we've heard the stories firsthand after they came back, and they're creepy as hell. First of all, the stories, but I've seen it firsthand, so I didn't realize that there were people out there denying the existence of this. Well, because it exists.
Like, Tim's great, and we know Tim, but take him out of it. How many news stories do you see where, hey, an operation undercovers this sex trafficking sting and minors are involved, etc.? Like, it's so clearly something that is happening. I mean, unless all of these random local and state police departments are in on it,
right?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's bizarre.
And look at movies. Even Hollywood's even done, like, Taken. I mean, that movie was about sex trafficking.
Right.
So to compare it to QAnon, I'm still shaking my head because I just don't understand it. And how can you be anti-sex trafficking? It makes no sense.
Well, it only makes sense if you don't want it to stop. Like, if you're in the industry, right? Like, that's the only way. There's no other possible explanation for you to not be in favor of stopping this, other than you're into it. Apparently there's a demand for it, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that that people are out there and they're making the case, maybe, so to speak. But the whole thing, and that
disturbing. It really is, and the fact that there's not more support for the abolishment of the sex trade is distressing, that it's not a bigger issue than it is. I mean, we talk about it, but if it was a bigger issue, it would take away from their other, the other issues of the of the transgender radical movement, of the misgendering, all that stuff. It would take spotlight away from that.
I think it is because I don't think people actually believe, like, they think, wait a minute, that can't actually be happening in 21st century, the globe. But yes, it is. As we were just talking about, I mean, you see the news stories, you see it over and over. You see people like Tim Ballard, like, it is out there. So there's kind of this initial sort of denial that it could possibly happen in this day and age. But I think it's also a symptom of just how bad our political rot and division has gotten, because people have decided, well, for whatever reason, they've decided that the conservatives are latching onto this. And
right.
But if there's one issue that should be able to unite us, it's like, hey, let's stop the kids from being trafficked, right? I mean, I saw Jewel make a comment, and she's not a conservative. She's a liberal, as best I know. And she was, touting this film, and so were many others. It seems like this should be something that would rally us. But again, at the same time, you have culture going. I mean, we got the maps. Hey, minor attracted people are people too. And so we're trending in that direction where they don't want to admit there's this sort of overlap happening in some areas of the LGBTQ spheres, that the pedophile thing is a real thing in that area. It's an issue they should deal with, but they just want to go, no, you're just being a homophobe if you bring that up. Like, well, no, it's a thing. And so, I think we should be able to unite on this, but it's, I think, a sign of the times that we're not.
It really, it befuddles me. And then one of the stories over on the front page of Faithwire, students allegedly suspended underwent restorative justice for misgendering a teacher. This whole misgendering thing is now becoming a thing. We talked earlier in the program today about the Michigan bill, which they say doesn't specifically say that if you misgender somebody, that is a felonious act if you are convicted. But the bottom line is we've seen this happen repeatedly, which is just the goofiest thing I've ever. Well, no, there's a lot of goofy things I've seen, but this is certainly up in the top 5. The misgendering crowd.
This happened. This one was out in Glendale, California, and students apparently called a teacher by the incorrect pronouns, which, of course, as you just alluded to, there is a devastating crime that must be punished. And you think about what are we teaching our kids now that you can't, what was the old adage? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Now we're just like, what? Like, I'm a woman. Can't you tell? And
it's ma'am.
Right. So it's like some 6'8" teacher, and they're. I mean, I don't know who this teacher is, or they don't say in the information given on the story, but that's a lot of the times you see some big dude with broad shoulders and excuse me, ma'am, that's a nice Adam's apple you got there. And then you call him a he, and it's like you're the bigot somehow. I mean, it's absurd. But I've long said that the LGBT movement was built on bullying. They don't want to admit that, but that's the truth. It's built on fear, intimidation, and bullying. I mean, what happens if you don't go along with it? You're ostracized, you're shunned, you're called a bigot, you're a homophobe. That's just what they do.
Or
there's
suddenly
no
you're the
winning
pedophile.
of hearts and minds here. There's no winning of hearts and minds. You have people who would rather, I don't want to be in the bad crowd. I don't want to be in that group of people that are meanies. I don't want to do that. You're not winning anyone over to this ideology. Nobody's looking at a trans drag queen twerking on a bunch of kids and going, this is wonderful for society. They don't want to be in the out crowd. They don't want to be the ones that are called the bigots. And so they're motivated by fear, whether they know it or not. I think some people think they're cheering it on, but it's really just out of fear.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it, because they can't win in a legit discussion or argument about the pros and cons of any given event, like the drag queen shows for kids, which
or
again,
the
or the sport, right? Or it's all just, or the misgendering or mispronoun or whatever it is. I mean, it's just so crazy that, yeah, they have to bully and intimidate. They won't argue. And it was, have you seen any of Tucker Carlson's interview with Russell Brand?
I have not yet. No.
Oh, do yourself a favor, watch that, because Tucker at one point says in this interview, he says, look, it's like a wound. He says, you touch a wound and you recoil because it hurts. That's the same thing with this activist crowd. As soon as you push back, if you try to get them with logic, they recoil. I mean, and you try to have any logical conversation or discussion with them, and they recoil and start calling you names, because there's no
true.
Yeah, there's no good argument.
Yeah, it's 100% true. And look at the college campuses. Whenever you get somebody with a differing view showing up, they flock and they just yell and they scream stuff. They don't go to listen to just debate and counter things. They just say, well, we got to shut them up, and we've got to just make them look like they're so toxic that it's not even worth having the conversation. There was a clip going viral. I saw someone post it yesterday. I don't know if the clip is old or not. They were talking about some fairly recent things, but the quality looked old. But it's a professor, and he's talking about something about queer history and queer theory, and the big proponents of queer theory, and how there's connections there to pedophilia. And he's quoting all of these prominent queer theorists, and then these harsh quotes about pedophilia where they're very much in favor of it. But he's making this connection and he's laying out the facts. And so as soon as he starts doing it, what do the students in there's half the students are agreeing, but then you hear a bunch of students who aren't. What do they start doing? As soon as he starts laying out this facts, instead of saying, no, that's wrong because X, Y, and Z, and having a conversation, they just start yelling and calling him a homophobe. And that is so emblematic of the way the debate goes, for exactly the reason you're saying. They can't have an argument because there is no justification for this. And so the way to do it is bullying, intimidation, and fear. If you have a mob of people and you're yelling, well, how many people are going to be willing to go speak somewhere if they know they're going to get mobbed and egged and whatever else?
Right. It's the equivalent of the I can't hear you. It's the equivalent. They might as well do that as
but what they're following is the rules for radicals, the Saul Alinsky, that sort of model. Like it's not by accident that they're doing this. I mean, this is a strategy. This is a strategy, and look at how far the culture has moved because of it. I mean, it's. We talk about it a lot, but the George Floyd, what served as an accelerant to all of this woke agenda. It's just like, they had a soft moment where people were all appalled by what they saw. And then they took that, as activists always do, never let a crisis go to waste. They took that and ran with it. And like a minute later, you're hearing defund police, and everyone's like, wait a minute, we're talking about like, let's hold the bad cops accountable. And then some people are going, yeah, let's defund all the police. We're like, what? Oh, activists were waiting for this. They've been waiting for this moment. And in the last couple of years, they've taken advantage of it. And they've been very effective. Again, credit where credit is due. They've been very effective at what they've been trying to do.
And that's why when I see a movie like Sound of Freedom doing well, again, it gives me hope. It's like a sign that maybe people are if nothing else, at least paying attention and showing solidarity for supporting something that, is has good intentions or seems to have good intentions.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it
No,
yet. That's
I
the only
mean-
reason I say that.
People really like it when we find an issue that we're able to put aside the petty differences and rally on something. I mean, don't you miss those days? Like, I mean, even, in the wake of tragedy, like 9/11, the country was together, right? It was a horrible time, right? It was an awful tragedy, but there was something about that unity that happened afterwards that it just made you proud to be an American. And we haven't had that. And a big part of that is because half of the country are out here yelling at you and trying to convince you how awful America is. And it's so frustrating because, we can debate different tax policies and all the different, different policies that come up. We can debate those things, but it was at least you could know we would unite as Americans if somebody came in and attacked us. And now you think, gosh, if someone came in and attacked us, right? If we had another like Pearl Harbor or something, heaven forbid, I would feel like half the country would be like, yeah, I'm with them. Like, I mean, you wouldn't get the whole, if the aliens come down, as you guys are always talking about our friends up in the universe, if they come down and they do like Independence Day and start hovering over a lot of them are gonna be like, yeah, I'm out. You gotta nuke them, just zap them.
I guess I'm gonna have to go to the other solution to everything, and that's going to be Yellowstone erupts, because that's just going to blow us back to the Stone Age, and then we'll have no choice but to, have to get along with each other.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Yeah. If all of our social media gets disintegrated, I think that'll be a good start. I mean, we've always had differences, but I think social media has just exacerbated it. It's just people.
You and Ron both hate social media.
I don't hate social media. I just hate the way it's being used.
You said you hate social media.
No, I said social media will be the bane of our existence, and it will be. Just look at Twitter. Now look at Threads.
Are you on Threads yet, Dan?
No, this is, and I don't know if you guys saw my tweet. I think 6 people saw it, but it was a great tweet. But I'm so tired of the whole. Think about what social media is, right? It's the ability, we're using the internet to be able to post something where a group of other people are that you can see it, right? It gives you a little bit of a voice. Maybe things go viral, whatever. You can interact with somebody, a fan, someone you're a fan of. It's the same thing in a slightly different format. It's like, oh, I'm tweeting. Oh, I'm threading. Oh, hey, let's go over here. I'm chirping. Let's go to the Ding Dong app, in the TikToks, in the Flip Flap. Like, come on. What are we doing? Everyone, look at this. This is awesome. I can ding dong it. There it is.
Been giving it a lot of thought, and I know just what the country needs, a new social media platform. Except this time you'll be able to post stuff in a slightly different format. You're right. I mean, it's... And all they ended up being a bunch of people from Twitter that Meta hired, and they just basically recreated the back end of Twitter. So now we have Twitter 2.
And those guys, by the way, are always going to win because they have the most users already. So I remember when Periscope came out, right? You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, you can go live. Yep. This is amazing. And then Facebook's like, oh, hey, guess what? You can go Facebook Live. And then Periscope they retracted down below the surface again and never to be seen.
What did happen to Periscope? Because we had a deal when we were at the other place. Remember that we kind of had a deal going with them where
it was cool at the beginning when no one else had it.
Right.
I think they eventually just got bought by somebody or something, or they just vanished. I mean, it's like anything. The new format came out, but Facebook and Google and YouTube, they're always going to be able to compete and destroy most of these other things that come up, either buying them or just mimicking them. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Right. I mean, Facebook, if you think about it, they haven't come up with anything original since they came out. It's like, Facebook Live, that was just Periscope. Threads, that's just Twitter. It's the same thing, but like I said, slightly.
By-
Let's make
by
our
the
new
way,
app
if you-
Ding Dong with a doorbell. Like it's like door-to-door internet. I'm gonna ding dong you. I'm ding donging Brad.
If you go to Periscope now, you know what it says? It says go to Twitter. Periscope is saying goodbye. Go to Twitter. It really is. Wow, we live in a cartoon, don't we?
The First Amendment
Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do.
lives here. Watch and listen at thedailymojo.com.